Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo. There's a special kind of fear that lives on the American road. It's not the fear of a deer jumping out from the woods, or a sudden patch of black ice. It's the fear of the other driver, the one in the vehicle next to you, whose intentions are a complete mystery. This is the story of the day, a simple drive home from high school turned into a real-life nightmare, a game of cat and mouse, where the stakes were our very lives. It was a Tuesday afternoon, I think, the kind of day that bleeds into all the others in your memory. The final bell had rung, and my friend Mark and I were riding that wave of teenage freedom, the school week finally behind us. Mark was behind the wheel of his beat-up old Honda Civic, and I was riding shotgun, the radio tuned to some forgettable station. We were just a couple of kids, lost in our own world, heading home. We approached a major intersection, a busy four-way stop that marked the halfway point of our journey. The light was red. We sat there, idling, watching the cross-traffic flow. Then, the left-turn arrow for our lane flashed green. Mark, maybe feeling a bit of that youthful impatience, or maybe just not paying attention to his own lead foot, hit the gas a little too hard. The tires of the Civic let out a brief, sharp screech as they grabbed the asphalt. It wasn't a drag race start, just a clumsy teenage peel-out. We both chuckled awkwardly. "Smooth, man," I said, shaking my head. But our laughter died in our throats almost instantly. In the rearview mirror, a green pickup truck, an older, boxy Chevy, or Ford, with a primer gray fender lurched forward. It sped up aggressively, pulling into the lane beside us on the left. My eyes were drawn to the driver. He was a large, bald man with a thick neck. His face was contorted in a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. Even through his closed window, we could see the veins bulging on his forehead. He was screaming at us, his mouth a distorted O of fury, pounding a fist on his steering wheel. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. "Mark," I said, my voice low and tense. "Don't look. Just don't look at him." We both stared rigidly ahead, hoping he'd just drive off, hoping this was a momentary burst of road rage that would dissipate as quickly as it appeared. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A half-mile down the road, we hit another red light. "Shit," Mark whispered. "He's coming up beside us." I slowly, cautiously, turned my head. The green pickup was gliding into the space next to us, like a shark closing in. He was so close, I could see the faded sticker on his bumper and the clutter on his dashboard. He stopped, his front bumper perfectly aligned with ours. He turned his head, and his eyes locked directly onto mine. They were cold, empty. He made a slow, deliberate motion with his hand. "Roll down your window." My blood ran cold. Mark and I exchanged a look of pure terror. This wasn't happening. This was the kind of story you saw on the news. Mark gave a weak, apologetic shake of his head, mouthing, "Sorry, man," through the glass. What happened next is etched into my memory with the clarity of a nightmare. The man's expression didn't change. He slowly raised his right hand, forming his fingers into the shape of a gun. He pointed this imaginary pistol directly at me, his thumb acting as the hammer. He held it there for a heart-stopping second, and I could almost feel the cold, phantom barrel between my eyes. Then, with the same chilling slowness, he turned the handgun towards his own temple and mimed pulling the trigger. My heart felt like it had stopped. This was beyond road rage. This was a threat. This was a promise. But it got worse. His eyes still locked on us. He started fumbling with his other hand towards his glove compartment. My mind screamed one word. Gun. He's going for a real gun. In that exact suspended moment of terror, the light turned green. "Go, Mark! Go now!" I screamed. Mark didn't need telling twice. He slammed his foot on the accelerator. The Civic's engine whined, and we shot forward. A quick glance in the side mirror confirmed our worst fear. The truck's tires screeched, and the massive grille lunged after us like a predator. He was on us in seconds, tailgating us so closely I couldn't see his headlights, only the rusted outline of his front bumper filling our entire rear window. He was trying to ram us, to run us off the road. "Where do I go?" Mark yelled, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. My house was the only safe place I could think of. My neighborhood. Get to my neighborhood. I know the streets. The next few minutes were a blur of panicked turns and frantic checks in the mirror. Every time we turned, he turned. He was a shadow, a hunter following our scent. We sped into the entrance of my subdivision, a maze of winding streets and cul-de-sacs. "This is it!" I shouted. "Speed up! Take this next left hard, and then kill the lights!" Mark floored it, took the left turn on 2 wheels, and immediately switched off the headlights. We coasted down a slight incline into a quiet, densely packed cul-de-sac. He swerved into a driveway, parking behind a large minivan that hopefully shielded us from view. Mark killed the engine. Silence. The kind of heavy, suffocating silence that amplifies every sound. We slumped down in our seats, our hearts hammering against our ribs so loudly I was sure he could hear it. We didn't dare speak. We barely dared to breathe. 30 seconds passed, then a minute. The tension was unbearable, and then we saw it. The green pickup truck slowly cruised past the entrance of our cul-de-sac. He didn't turn in. He just drove by, his window down, his head scanning the streets like a Terminator. We watched his brake lights glow as he paused at the stop sign at the end of the street, and then he turned right and disappeared. We waited another 5 minutes, paralyzed by the fear that it was a trick. Finally, we let out the breaths we'd been holding in a huge, simultaneous sigh of relief. The adrenaline crash was immediate and overwhelming. We started laughing. A shaky, hysterical laughter born not from humor, but from sheer, unadulterated survival. We didn't know what could have happened. We didn't want to know. We pulled out our phones, our hands still trembling, and called the police. We met an officer a few blocks away and filed a report. We gave them the description of the truck, the man, everything. They escorted us the rest of the way home. I never saw that green pickup truck or that bald, angry man again. But sometimes, when I'm driving alone at night, and I see a pair of headlights riding a little too close behind me, that cold knot tightens in my stomach all over again. You never really forget the face of someone who, for no reason at all, decided your life was theirs to take.
Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.